Ever watch those old 90s and 80s films and ever thought to yourself, damn, how do I get my videos to have that old vintage film look? I know I did. But what if I told you there was a way to do that? And to be honest, it's really simple. And it's just one click.
But first, I'd like to thank the sponsor for this video, Dehancer Film and Dehancer Mobile. Now, if you're into filmmaking or photography, this app is seriously worth looking into. It basically lets you get that real film look straight from your phone. I'm talking those soft highlights, rich colors, and that perfect bit of grain that just feels organic. They've recreated classic film stocks like Kodak Portra, Fuji, and Cinestill, so you can experiment with different vibes without touching a color grading panel. What's cool is you can also play with halation, bloom, and all those subtle effects that make digital footage feel filmic. I've been using it to preview looks before grading. It really comes in handy, especially when I'm recceing locations, and it's surprisingly accurate. You can grab Dehancer Mobile on iOS or Android, and if you use my code CDO, you'll get 10% off. Definitely worth trying out if you want your digital shots to feel more like film. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be setting up a node system that's going to be working with Dehancer. And we're going to be doing a footage to Dehancer straight tutorial. Now, the node system that we're going to be using is one that I personally use myself. It is one that I actually learned by watching Darren Mostyn. He's a fantastic editor and colorist, and I'll be linking the video that I learned his node system from down below. Alright, so I've started up by already setting up a power grade that I've been working on for a current music video that I recently shot. Now, I've done 2 grades currently. One is a version with just Dehancer, and the other one is with Dehancer and some other adjustments that I've done to help bring out the color tones of this image. What we're going to do is we're going to start by choosing our camera, which is the most important thing that we need to do. We need to first select the camera that we shot on. So for me, it was the FX3. Right now, let's correct it by changing our temperature. So I'm going to go back to Cine Still, and we're going to try this again. So I'm going to adjust it, and right off the top, it's already quite solid for now. So our color temperature is off just a bit. We can probably pull it down just a tad bit more towards the blues, and it still looks pretty solid. Now let's go to our film developer and let's balance out our contrast. So we're going to enable this, and we're going to bring back the contrast a tiny bit so that we can get some saturation in our shadows. Gamma correction just to slightly fix that area over here. Let's swap to Endura Glossy, and as you can see, the image is starting to form together. So let's bring up our exposure a bit more, and let's see our color density. Let's try and bring back some color density into the image. We've already got all of our settings more or less done, but right now I'm not happy with the saturation in his face. As I can say for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and do a bit of a color boost. I'm going to try and bring back some of that color. So now my image is starting to look better. It's starting to look more to what I'm aiming for. Let's start touching into the color head. So too blue for me. I think the magenta is starting to peak a bit too much, but I do want to keep it. Let's try and bring back some of the reds in the shot. We can add in our halation, and we'll set this for 16mm. We can turn on our film grain, and we'll turn on some bloom as well. But what we're going to do instead is we're going to play with the black point, and we're going to bring down the white. Just a slight contrast boost, and a slight drop in the gamma. And we have a more or less a shot that I'm quite happy with. Visually, it looks good enough for me. It does create that very distinctive 90s music video, and this is essentially what we're trying to do with most of our shots. What I usually do in these situations is most of the time what I'll start with a color space transform. We're going to go and create a new serial node, and we're going to create a couple of these. So these are going to be our main control nodes that's going to control our saturation, our exposure, curves, and our contrast for our image at the moment. After this, we're going to set 2 nodes here, and this is going to be our primaries and our HDR. If you want to add another node after this can be your texture. We're going to start converting this into a Rec 709 color space. Now that we've done this, we've got more or less our system that's already set up. So now that we're back in Dehancer, let's start cycling through a couple of different looks. Personally, for me, I enjoy Cine Still. It's one of my favorite color tones that I like to work in. It has a nice level of saturation and a nice blend on these shadows that just doesn't make them too black. Right now, our color is definitely too warm. So we're gonna start with the white balance, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start playing with our temperature here. I'm gonna see whether we can just balance this out just a little bit more. Our exposure is a little bit off, and I personally do not like the harshness in the shadows here. They're too strong. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my HDR settings over here, and I'm gonna bump up the exposure just ever so slightly, just to bring out some of that distinctive shape that we can still see in the creases. I do like to bring down the shadows just a tad bit here. I'll pull it up ever so slightly, but then I will also drop the highs just enough. So right now, it seems to me that most of our general saturation can actually go up just like maybe about 5 points. So we're gonna increase this by 5. So now I'm starting to see, definitely in the reds here, we're starting to see a bit more red popping off in the midtones. Right now in Dehancer, we have multiple settings here. We have our standard input, which I've already covered, which covers all of this. This affects or more or less changes the data that we have within our current settings that we have already predetermined. As you can see already with the whole steps that I've even taken, even with minimal nodes set up, you can already itself get a very distinctive look and feel from each of these images. And I think for me, in my opinion, this does present itself why I think like Dehancer has actually really done a fantastic job with their plugin. By having this sort of like system that allows you to easily access and sift through different looks that you enjoy, that can help either elevate or itself give a character and feeling to your videos. My personal opinion as a colorist, in my experience, is that if there's anything that can help you streamline your process, you should always use that as an option. Sure, it is very important to know the fundamentals and the basics of color grading, but at the same time, if it helps streamline your process, as an editor myself, and I started with VFX compositing, you will always want to take any effort that you can to help streamline your process so that it makes your workload easier. As much as it is important to know the fundamentals, it is also just as important to work smart. And personally, in my opinion, this is one of those great plugins that can really speed up your workflow. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. I enjoyed making it as much, and I really gotta thank Dehancer. They sent me a copy of their plugin to actually work on today, and it was fantastic. I really enjoyed working on their software. It was really fun to actually be able to tell these stories and to show you my experience and how you can itself elevate your own experience and your own videos as an editor. So till the next time, take care guys. Keep shooting, keep filming.